All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the kickoff of the V2 pitch competition. This is the 10th annual event, and we've got quite a bit of information to share with you. So really glad to have you here today. I would like to introduce a couple people that are here with us today and invite them to share anything they like. My name is Misty Rusk, and I'm the Executive Director of the Free Enterprise Institute at the Kickoff business. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Winley Chow, who is the department chair for what we call the I3. Dr. Chow?
Thank you, Misty. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the V2 pitch competition, the kickoff event. It's my great pleasure to be here and see all of you be interested in entrepreneurship and innovation. As Misty has already said, this is our 10th year, so we have a long history of hosting this event and helping our students, nurture our students in terms of developing their business ideas, making it possible for a future business startup and so on and so forth. So I think it's a great opportunity for you to not just learn from the faculty members, from the mentors, and also to learn from each other. So it's important and also important for you to support each other, help each other. It's a learning process for all of us. So even though we say it's a competition, but let's not focus on the prize, but also focus on the learning process that you are going to experience and that is going to really help you in the future. So welcome everyone, and let's have fun in the process and also learn a lot of knowledge, experience from everybody here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Next up, I'd like to introduce Diana Hanashag. Diana, are you able to say a few words?
Hi, Misty, and hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Diana Hanashag. I am the Student Professional Development Manager in the Kickoff School of Business. I get to work with all of our entrepreneurship students and our graduate business majors, like MBA students. So it's great to see so many here, and we're well represented. I want everyone to kind of focus on like the networking aspect of this, because it's open across all of these schools at both undergrad and graduate levels. And also in the final the pitch competition that's going to be combined this year with 7x7, there's that opportunity to network with alumni, which I really want to encourage. So thank you all for having me today.
That's great. So for all of you, Diana is there as a resource for you. So she's doing lots of stuff to increase her own network, corporate network, so she can help connect you with opportunities. She knows about all the resources on campus. So if you want to know anything about innovation, entrepreneurship, international business, interdisciplinary activities, Diana is your go-to, and she's a resource specifically for you. So the I3 actually stands for innovation. I always want to say entrepreneurship, innovation, international, and interdisciplinary, right? So it's it's a new department, it's unique, and Dr. Shao is the chair of the department, and Diana is our SPDM. I'm gonna keep working on it till I can say that easily. And then I'd also like to introduce Rhoda Sabashi. She's here. She's with the Brink Sbdc, another great resource.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rhoda with the Brink Small Business Development Center. We are a program of the Free Enterprise Institute, and we help companies in the innovative life sciences technology space get the business assistance they need through one-on-one consulting or training events.
Thanks, Rhoda. All right. I'm going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to get to some introductions here in a few minutes, but I'm going to jump in and do some sort of set the table, so to speak. And then I've broken this up into three different sections. So glad to have you here. We're going to go ahead and see if I can advance the slides. Oh, I can. How about that? All right. So the first question is, what is the V2? The V2 is called the Venture Vetting Competition. It's been around. This is, again, our 10th year. It happens in the spring semester, and it's a series of workshops and networking activities that lead up to a student pitch competition that has $25,000 in cash prizes and some additional resources, which I'm super excited to share with you this year. It's also a great launching point if you're really interested in entrepreneurship. Like, I can't stress enough, this is a great time to run this experiment, because it's probably you can tolerate the risk more right now as students than you will be able to after graduation, when you're, paying your own rent and having to cover all your expenses. So this is actually a really good time for you to do it and to take advantage of all of the resources here at USD. All right, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Free Enterprise Institute and where it fits in the grand scheme of things. So it is one of 3 centers of excellence in the Canal School of Business, the others being the Allers Center and the Burnham Morris Real Estate Program. So our vision is to activate innovators, and we do that by making the game accessible through practical education, resources, and providing, the tools that you need to be able to go out and, I always say, save the world. I've gotten to work on some really cool projects over the last 20 years, and I'm talking about, like, I'm not joking around, like, seriously, we're talking about saving the world. The programs that are offered through our program are both student-centric, right? So anything through the Catalyzer, which includes the V2 and the Fowler Business Concept Challenge, any of the other student-facing activities, and also community-centered, things like the Brink, the San Diego Angel Conference, a couple of things that we have in the works. So a Torreira Angel Fund that we hope will be available to you before graduation. And a family business program, innovation in family business is one of the things that's on our, it's on the horizon for us. So what we're really hoping is that there's lots of crossover for all of you between these things, and that we are a resource that continues to serve you, not just while you're here at USD, but for the rest of your life. And I mean that sincerely. So we take that part pretty seriously. All right, so we have both shared services that we coordinate across all of these programs and work with other schools. We have access to what I'd call non-traditional finance. So we actually have built our own really robust early seed stage ecosystem for angel investing, moving towards venture capitalists. So we work with hundreds of investors, and we work with dozens of venture capitalists. So we've really got this great network that we've developed over time that we're happy to help you get access to if you're willing to do the work. And then finally, we're really focused on sort of what's the practical side of your education, all of the educational things that are not happening in the classroom, but that you get exposure to while you're here at USD. All right, so you may have seen this. This is the Torreira Prenar journey. And this sort of highlights a lot of the activities. And the idea when they created this was to show that there's a pathway. And if you see, we're in the, I don't know, the third bend or something like that. Down here, we're the venture vetting competition. As one of the resources, it's not like you have to do these in order. We're just saying that there's a lot here for you to be able to take advantage of while you're here at USD and afterward. All right, and then just quickly, specifically about the V2, we've got a number of workshops lined up for you. This program is going to run through April the 20th. The submission deadline is going to be March the 25th, and I'm going to give you access to the application today, I think. I've got it set up and ready to go. First reviews will happen on March the 29th. We'll announce the finalists on March the 31st. The final pitches and judging happen on April 19th. And then the finale and the awards will happen on April 20th. We're going to run the finale a little bit different than we have in the past. And we're going to have the final companies that are going to pitch. We're going to have them do that in front of a live audience. And we've combined the final event with the 7x7. So you're going to get to have a great group of alumni, 7 fantastic speakers, telling their impactful stories about what's happened to them since graduation. And we're hoping you're inspired by that. And then conversely, we want to help our alumni reconnect with USD, and we hope that they're inspired by you. So that's kind of the plan, sort of in a nutshell. And these slides and the recording will be available to anybody who registered for today. So don't worry about like trying to write all these things down. I've got actually quite a bit of things that I can share with you. And I did share I have a page of links that I shared with Dr. Shao and also with Diana. And feel free as I'm talking, if there's anything there that feels like it belongs at this point, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'll just, I'll lose track of where I'm at if I try and do that too. So not the best multitasker maybe. All right. The way that this works is when we get to the end, we offer some prizes. And so there's $25,000 cash that's set aside. If you win that money, it's going to come back to your student account, and then you can choose how you use it. So if you're paid in full, you can take it back as cash. You can get a check for that and go cash it. You can use it to offset your tuition or other expenses while you're here at USD. And it's possible that the judges can decide to award all of the money to just one company, or they may divide it across companies. So it could be as much as 25,000, or it could be some portion of that, which then would be shared amongst your teammates and your co-opetitioners. I'm going to say that's a new word. And then finally, the finale on April the 20th, again, the 7x7 event. So 7 speakers for 7 minutes, all USD alumni. We'll have an intermission, and then we'll have the finalist pitch. So, and we're going to hold it to a 7-minute pitch this year, which is sort of a little bit of an unusual time, but I'm kind of excited about that. And then we'll have the awards. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that we've got some great folks behind this. So Edward and Linda Rice made a gift to make this possible for you. And Mintz, the law firm, has stepped in to sponsor. So we've just started working on sponsorship too. This list is going to continue to grow, but we are very appreciative of their commitment to all of you, and hope you'll keep that in mind as you have needs or opportunities in the future. All right, any questions about that part? We went through that pretty fast, but we're going to cover it a bunch of times over the next couple of months. Well, I'd like to think that I get some credit that I did a good job there and there are no questions, but I'm guessing we're probably a little bit early in the process and you're not quite sure what the questions are just yet. What I'd like to do is I'd like to do quick introductions. So I appreciate if everybody can turn their cameras and their mics on, and we'll just go around the room and your name, your major, and if you have a business idea, I'd love to know a tiny bit about that if you're willing to share. So first up on my screen is Diego.
Good morning or afternoon, I guess by now. Thank you for your time and for putting together this presentation. My name is Diego Lozano. I'm a first-year MBA candidate at USD. I'm also in the MSRE program. Will be started later in the fall. As of now, I have an idea with one of my cohort members and friend Andrew. It's essentially kind of like a generator you can use for personal use, an electric generator. And so we kind of want to explore if there's a way to match the idea to the V2 pitch competition, which looks very promising and interesting. So thanks for that.
Very good, thank you. Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate McCone-Sweet. I actually just joined the faculty in January. And so this is just me getting to learn more about what's going on in I3, and hopefully that I can be a part or assist any of the students along the way as needed. So I'm excited to be joining the team.
Fantastic. I will follow up with you outside of this meeting and we can talk more about that. I definitely have some needs.
Great.
That's perfect. Andrew.
Hey, I'm Andrew Hochstetler, also the first year MBA full-time. Yeah, I'd be working with Diego on this project.
Very cool. All right, Jaden.
Hi, I'm Jaden Diarmas. I'm a senior studying business administration. I have an idea to implement an app that would kind of offer discounted last minute tickets for flights on airlines that haven't fulfilled that haven't filled up all the seats on their planes.
Great. All right, Jack.
Hi, my name's Jack Erston, and I'm a freshman at USD, and I'm undeclared right now, but I'm deciding between marketing, business economics, and finance with a minor in entrepreneurship. And I have like two quick ideas. The first one is to implement some sort of like to basically figure out the altitude of different roads in climates with like severe weather conditions such as snow and ice, to lead people on like flatter routes instead of steeper roads, so it like prevents car crashes. And then my second idea is to create somewhat of like a remote controlled garbage can, so that in the morning, instead of having to walk out and bring your trash out at like 7 a.m., it either automatically goes out to like the front of your driveway, or like you can just control it manually and just bring it out like that.
Excellent. Gaskar, you're up next. Okay, maybe they have stepped away or their mic might not be working. Aiden.
Hey everybody, my name's Aiden. I'm a sophomore undergrad majoring in computer science. I came in because I've heard a lot about this competition and just wanted to learn more in terms of an actual business model, very early stages, but I would like to do something with machine learning, image recognition, or another project in Java, Python, or C, because those are the three languages I've learned. And I have a little experience with the image recognition machine learning from a club I'm in here.
Okay, that's great to know. Grant.
Hey everyone, my name is Grant Healy. I'm a first year full-time MBA student. Diego, you switched your idea on me, and I'm happy to see Andrew here too as well. I'm actually working on a mental health application that's specifically geared towards students going through the college process, and it's designed to help them deal with some of the lows you can encounter during that time and connect them with resources that may be of use to them. So excited to be here. Aiden, I would love to, I hope I got your name right. I would love to talk to you more if you have some programming background. That could definitely be useful.
Yay. Okay, we're gonna call that networking number 1. Let's keep track. Let's see if we can get 1,000. All right, Michael.
Hi guys, I'm a first year MBA student specializing in marketing. I am thinking about creating, I guess, a small biotech or virtual biotech called Kind Therapeutics. And the goal is really to preventative care. So through subscription, allow people to, I guess, change their lifestyle, give them the necessity medicines that they need. So it prevents people from developing long-term diseases at a subscription.
Okay, fantastic. Kylie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kylie Rios. I'm majoring in electrical engineering, and I'm a senior. I'm the team lead for EcoBreeze, which is, we're designing a thermoacoustic cooling system, which you'll hear more about later.
Okay, very good. Another Diego Yanez.
Hi, yes, I'm a senior. I'm an international business student and an entrepreneurship minor. And I've been going for this business idea for a little bit now, and I've been working with it with friends and family. And we've been developing a form of sunblock in the form of eye drops for the eyes to fight against all sorts of eye problems that are caused by the dangers of UV rays.
Okay, very cool. Michael Crone.
Hi, my name is Michael. I'm a senior working on my business administration degree. I don't currently have a business I'm looking into right now. Just kind of to see what you guys are working on and see what I can learn.
Okay. That's great. Everybody's going to need a team, so it's good if we've got some free agents, call them free agents. Still, Till Stockman.
Yeah, I'm Till Stockman. I'm a senior majoring in business admin and finance, and I want to provide IT services, especially with the idea of offshoring to Romania. And I would be doing that with the help of a company in Germany as well as in Romania.
Okay, great. Lola. Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
Hi.
That'll work.
Yes. So I'm here. I'm Lola Gutierrez. He's Gabriel, and we're both part of the MBA full-time. I'm specializing in supply chain management.
Yeah, I'm probably going into entrepreneurship.
So we both had this idea of starting a restaurant here in San Diego. The main idea would be to develop a system of inventory management, so we can put together a way that customers know exactly what they're eating in terms of eating functionally, and also like not wasting food.
Okay, all right. Gabrielle, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, basically this is the idea. We plan to work more on it. But yeah, as she said, yeah, that's the basic idea.
Okay, great. Armand.
My name is Armand Olson. I'm a freshman at USD, and all my ideas kind of bounce around like creating apps and kind of providing a service to others that will benefit them in like their daily life.
Okay. Christian.
Hi, my name is Christian Lyons. I'm a finance major. It's actually my last semester as an undergrad, but I'm moving forward and going to participate in the MSF program as well. So I don't exactly have an idea just yet, but it's kind of built around an alternative solution to selling water in plastic bottles.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Sorry, some things moved around on my screen. Andre.
My name is Andres. I'm a business administration major, undergrad. I'm currently working on a small business venture that will generate funds for charity and nonprofits through selling artwork, through not only my own artwork, but participating in emerging artists, as well as, providing them exposure and funds as well.
Great. James.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is James Estolori, and I'm a fourth year undergraduate finance student. The idea that we had centers around water safety and extreme sports.
Okay, great. Patrick.
How's it going, guys? Patrick. I'm a senior right now studying finance and a minor in business analytics as well. I'm actually working with Gavin Daw, who's also in the call right now. We kind of have an idea to implement RPA software, which is robotic processing automation, through companies who would see a benefit in it. This would be useful for like things of account payable, social media marketing, customer service, payrolls, things like that. Yeah, happy to be here.
Great. Youssef.
Hi, my name is Yusuf. I'm a senior in mechanical engineering undergrad, and I don't really have a business idea. I just wanted to join the V2 pitch competition to understand what's the competition, what I can learn from.
Perfect.
But yeah, thank you.
Marcella.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Marcela Martinez Ledesma. I am not a student. I'm actually academic advisor for graduate business programs. And I've been in the position for about 6 months now. And I wanted to join today's workshop just to have a better understanding of what our graduate students, business students are experiencing and what the V2 competition is all about. So happy to be here.
Great. I'm happy to connect with you outside of this too. If there's anything I can do to support you. Okay, Temu.
Hi, I'm Time Tommy. I'm senior USD, majoring in international relations. I don't have a specific business idea right now, but I would like to engage in something related to the international thing. So yeah, and then I guess I will make it more sophisticated as much as possible. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right, great. Faye.
Hi, I'm Faye. I am a senior this year in business and marketing, and basically I'm just here to learn about the whole ventures and see what you guys have to offer. So this is just kind of my first stepping stone into it, but I just wanted to drop in and just listen.
Perfect. All right. Gavin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gavin. I'm a senior currently studying business analytics. And as Patrick said before, we're looking to start a company that would provide automation solutions. We go into a company, identify the best candidates for automation, and try to create some value for them.
Great, wonderful, thank you. All right, who did I miss? Did I miss anybody? Did I get everyone? Gassard, did you come back? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go on. I've got a couple of things that I want to share. So this is everything you need to know about V2 is the topic, and deck essentials. And so that's what we're going to go to next. All right, so I kind of said at the beginning, my name is Misty Rusk. I'm the executive director of the Free Enterprise Institute here at USD. I also launched the Brink Sbdc for USD in 2018. And so the Brink has, it's totally focused on innovation and scalable companies. They've got about 1,200 companies that have been through the program, about 650 on their active roster. And they've crossed the mark of 175 million in capital raise for those companies. We also started the, wow, I just did something weird there. Let's see if I can go back. Also started the San Diego Angel Conference. And the San Diego Angel Conference has activated over 100 angel investors in the San Diego region in the last 3 years, and supported. We're coming up to the finale for that process, which is probably a slightly bigger process, community focused process than the V2. Takes about 6 months actually. And so the San Diego Angel Conference aims to activate new investors. In total, over the last 3 cycles, they've helped 415 companies. Those companies have raised at least $100 million, or the companies and investors together have raised at least $100 million. So we kind of wanted to give you that so that you know that, like, I've been looking at deals for almost 20 years, which is kind of sad because that makes me doing this job longer than maybe a lot of you, some of you have been alive, or you were toddlers when I started doing this. But I've looked at something like 4,000 deals, and this is my one little gift. This is my area of expertise. So I'm happy to share what I've learned over the years with you and help you get some projects off the ground. And I'm super looking forward to getting to know you over the next 10 weeks or so and working with you forever. So I wanted to start with this. This is a pretty common, it's pretty messy, but it's the best graphic that I know of that shows the progression of businesses from idea through maturity, and the progression of products from proof of concept through fully exited product. And then also how the money comes together to support that. So where friends and family fits, where angel investing fits, and then where we move on to VC and private equity. So you can see this line here. It doesn't really even look like a line. It's this arrow across. That's sort of a break-even point. And the space where my area of expertise is kind of where you all are at in the idea, getting things off the ground, raising your first few $1 million, and getting your products into the space to scale and get ready for venture capital. So I'm comfortable in the space all the way from organizing documents all the way through your Series A, and then we get much beyond that, and I need to ask for help. But got a lot of friends, so we can call on them if we need them. You can see there's a URL there. I'm not sure this one's. I'm going to give you this information a couple of different ways today, but if you wrote that down, of course, that's going to work. And that's going to take you to some resources that we put together. So we put together both deck templates and deck checklists. And I don't think that there's an exact perfect way to do it. If there was, everybody would just do that and there'd just be millions and millions of dollars running around. So there's many good ways to do it. And there's some ways to do it badly too. And so what I'm going to hope is that I can point you the right direction and help you find a system or a set of things that really work for you as you start to work on your pitch competition, but also as you start to work on your businesses. All right, so I spend a lot of my time teaching investors so that there's more money available for entrepreneurs. So what I teach investors is to understand and mitigate risk. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. I teach them not to pick losers and also not to be a jerk. Those are two of my areas of specialty. And then I try and help investors embrace a philosophy of yes, right? So even if they're going to say no, they're going to try and help a founder get to where they need to go next so that the long-term answer is a yes. So that's kind of what we teach investors. What investors want though, investors are not philanthropists. They care about what you're doing and they want to make a difference in the world, but their first priority is to make a return on their investment. They do, many of the investors that I work with are self-made. So I'm talking specifically about accredited investors. An accredited investor is somebody who's got $1 million in net worth that doesn't include their primary home, or they have income of $200,000 or $300,000 for an individual or family. So that's the actual definition is about 50 pages long. If anybody wants to look at it, I'll send you the link for the SEC website for that. But the crux of it is pretty much that. Most of the investors that I work with are self-made and have a net worth of under 5 million. So over 1 million, under 5 million. And they can do a sniff test like nobody's business, right? So if you try and just BS your way through anything, they're going to catch it. And they have a real heart to help. Since they're self-made, almost everybody I know that I play with in this space has a story about somebody who gave them time and advice and counsel and support somewhere along the way. And this group of people that I primarily work with here in San Diego, they're now in a position where they want to be that for someone else. So they're looking for people like you who are really passionate about what you're doing and prepared to be persistent and put the work in. So that's a little bit about the investor side. And I said I was going to come back to this. So investors are looking to mitigate risks. And so what I mean by that is they're looking for all of the ways that your company could fail. And they're trying, and there's some things that they're going to look at that are like squarely on the founder, right? Can the founder execute on strategy? Can the founder keep the right team together? Can they develop the product correctly? All of those kinds of things that you have control over, but they're also going to be looking at things you don't have any control over. So regulatory environment, maybe you have a little bit of influence over that, but you probably don't have a lot of control over that. Regulatory environment, what's hot in the market, what's going on in the environment. So the the shifts that we've seen the last 2 years with a global pandemic that's outside what anybody ever could have imagined, is making us assess risks entirely differently. So there's all of these kinds of things that they're looking at. And then on the right of this slide, what I put up there was a list that CB Insights puts together. So this one's actually a couple of years old. But if you just Google 20 reasons startups fail CB Insights, you'll get the most current list, and it'll come with a lot of backup documentation as well. So you can find a lot more information about that. It's interesting to me that the one that has stayed on the top for a long time is no market need. And so we're going to talk about that. We're actually going to spend one of the workshops really focusing on customer discovery, because too often we see somebody who falls in love with a product, doesn't actively test it with consumers, and then launches it to find they may have solved a problem for themselves, but they didn't solve a problem anybody's willing to pay for. So that's the no market need top reason that companies fail. All right, so I'm going to go back to that. Any questions about any of that? I'm throwing decades worth of stuff at you in like 10 minutes, so. All right, so we're going to go on to deck essentials then. And this is really about how you put together a pitch deck for an angel investor. That's the space that I'm playing. I'm going to let me see if I can do this. I've got some documents here that I want to be able to share with you. I'm going to share with you this link that'll take you to a couple of folders. And what I'm sharing with you here, so you should have that in the chat. What I'm sharing here are 2 different folders, one with a couple of checklists, because again, there's no perfect way to do this. And the checklists basically say in an average 10 slide deck, in an average 10 slide deck, this is what, this is what should be covered on each of those slides. And so I put together one that's sort of my favorite that I put together when I was with the Brink. I put together I pulled another one from Alliance of Angels. So they're one of the largest angel groups around, and they put together their own checklist. So I think it's always good to have some perspective and some be able to look at things from a couple of different ways, especially when there's no exact right way to do this. There's no perfect recipe. And then the other folder there is actual deck templates. So I'm providing you 3. One's from Crowdfunder. It's pretty recent. And I've had several people say they really like that one. There's one there that's the Boise Angel. And we're going to use that one. And also Fresno uses that one. So I'm involved with both of those networks. Actually, Fresno's is a fund, Boise's is a network, but I'm familiar with both of those groups, and they have a prescribed deck that they use that I like and have used for a long time. And then I also provided Guy Kiyosaki's template, it's a gold standard. It's been around for a long time, and it'll cover most of the basics. So I provided those resources for you so you have some quick ways to get started. And then I'm going to go ahead and go through some of that as well. All right, so if you're putting together a pitch for investors, there's basically 10 slides that you need to put together in the deck. And that could be 8 slides, and it could be 12 or 15. There's not an exact perfect number, but I'm going to work with that. And I'd like to know from all of you if there's anything that jumps out at you about what you see of the deck title or the slide titles there. Do you see the slide that's about product? Can anybody pick it out?
Is it the solution slide?
No, maybe it's a little bit of it. Yeah, maybe. It's number 6. It's the text slide.
Yeah.
So one of the problems that I see with really passionate founders who are just getting started is, usually when I sit down with somebody and I'm taking a look at their first deck, it's more than half of it product slides. And when they talk about it, they're talking about it very much like salesmanship, right? So investors care about the product, but they really care about other things a lot more than what the product is. They care that the team can execute. They care that that the market opportunity is big, that it's not terribly crowded, or that you've got something really novel and unique that stands out. That the ask makes sense, that you can, there's a path to making money at it. Those are all the things that really need to be in a deck, and it needs to not be all about the product. So I hope that like we'll go ahead and cover this some more, but it's one of the dangers we see in early decks. So it's one of the things I wanted to spend a little bit of time and bring to your attention right off the bat. All right, and then to talk through this, I'm actually going to go through, I think I've got 11 slides here that I'm going to walk you through what should go on each slide. And I've adapted this from the Boise Angel Group 1. But I think sometimes it's also helpful to see some examples. So this is my fake company. It's called Lemonator. And maybe that was a really bad choice. We could have the marketing team spend a whole bunch of time on why you would not want to call a company the Lemonator. But for our purposes, it's just, it's a product that we can talk about, and I can show you how some of the things work in an effective deck. So we're going to see a few of the Lemonator slides, and I've only put together slides for the Lemonator that I think are probably the most critical slides for the deck. And I think there's 3. So with that, in terms of just deck basics, your first slide should have your company name, probably your own name, and your elevator pitch. And when I say that, like it really needs to focus in on, you know, something that people can hang their hat on, right? If they don't understand anything else you say, they should be able to describe the essence of what you're doing to a neighbor, a friend, a family member after speaking to you one time. So we're going to talk a little bit about the problem solution or whatever, but if you're not totally landed on something really specific, starting with a really great problem is a good way to rethink a company. So if you're doing SaaS, if you're doing like a physical product, landing on a problem, a real problem that people can really identify with is helpful. So, and a problem could be something that, you know, some revolution in healthcare. Obviously, that would be a great problem to solve. A problem could be something that just makes people's lives easier or more enjoyable, but you've got to get really clear on what that is, and it has to have some catch to it. So you need to be able to get through your company slide, your title slide really quickly, but it needs to describe what you do and not be overly technical. The market problem and the slide. So what problem are you solving? How big is the total market? I'm going to cover a slide on this in a minute for the Lemonator. But again, examples of good problems. One of my my all-time favorites is a team of students set off to solve the problem of postpartum hemorrhage. When women have babies, 1 in 10 have postpartum hemorrhage, and the death rate is really high. As a matter of fact, we've been on the phone for about an hour. In that time, about 10 women have died in the world from that thing, right? So students embrace that problem. Like, how do you stop 1 in 10 women who have this problem from dying in the world? And they actually created that solution. It sold for $100 million last year. It should go on the market next year. And they will probably IPO in the next 2 to 3 years. So really worthwhile. Another good one that I know of is in the, let's see, in the early 2000s, 70% of dialysis patients died on Sunday night. So a researcher got into it, took a closer look at what that problem was. Turns out that at the time you had to go into a dialysis center for treatment. And if you had to go into a dialysis center, you went Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then there's the long wait over the weekend to get back. And occasionally people's bodies would become so toxic that they'd die on Sunday night. So a team of researchers took that one on and created what next year will become the first mechanical kidney. right? I'm giving you healthcare examples because I think they're easier to identify with. The Air Force as a safety measure, way back in the maybe late 70s, early 80s, was looking for a way to keep senior pilots in the air longer. And most of their pilots are aging out at around 40 because pilots' eyesight would start to change, and you've got to have 20/15 eyesight to be a pilot. And so the Air Force funded some research with some doctors that ended up being what we know today as LASIKs. And so even things that start out in what you'd consider, good old-fashioned Department of Defense can have really great global impacts and can solve really big problems. So not only did the Air Force save millions and millions of dollars, but it was first and foremost a safety measure. Mature pilots make fewer mistakes. So there are things like that. So find a problem we're solving and then figure out how big the market is and then how you're going to serve it. So here's my lemonator example. The lemonator is what you'd call a fancy blender for making margaritas. It's a good example. I think we can identify with that too. And we talk in these terms, TAM, SAM, and SOM. So total addressable market, serviceable addressable market, serviceable obtainable market, right? A ton of mouthful. You can go talk to your professors about this one. You can look this up too. I'm going to give you another, the link for the video. I have a video that just covers terms on the last slide. And there's a great video that talks about this more broadly. So your total addressable market is what's available in the whole world, but people mess this one up a lot. That's why I'm giving you this slide. Your total addressable market has to be something that makes sense. So let me give you a terrible example. A young man comes into my office about 5 years ago. He says that his TAM is transportation. In that TAM, he includes planes, trains, and automobiles. And what he's selling is a skateboard. Like those things don't connect at all, right? So after he'd worked on it for some period of time, we got him off of talking about the, whatever it is, bazillions of dollars of TAM and planes, trains, and automobiles, and focused on short, point-to-point, single-person transportation. That's his real TAM. And then what does that really include? That's skateboards, bicycles, scooters, motorcycles. No, non-motor. He was looking at non-motorized stuff. Anyways, it's smaller, much smaller group of things, but then we've got something that we can really work with. So the serviceable addressable market is like how much is in the specific niche where you have. So for my example here, if I'm making a blender, my TAM's going to include kitchen accessories that are both manual or electronic, and things that you'd find in the kitchen. But my serviceable addressable market is something much tighter. It's kitchen electronics that include blenders, food processors, juicers, right? Do you see how that becomes much smaller? So then when we talk about the SOM, serviceable obtainable market, we're talking about what your company can actually get to, right? So if I open this blender company tomorrow, I can't launch it on a global scale. Like I mean, maybe I could. If I was going to launch something on a US scale, I need at least $4 million to do that. That's sort of a standard that I'm aware of. I don't have that kind of money. So I've got to back it into what's actually realistic for me to get to in the next 12 to 18 months. So my SOM for my lemonator blender company is probably something more like Southern California, or maybe I'm picking a few hot places where margaritas are a really big deal. So beach resort towns, maybe there's a city, Austin, Texas, maybe, there's maybe Santa Fe, right? So maybe I'm looking at some really specific geographies, and then I've got to be able to demonstrate the path to the market. So if I'm looking at the market opportunity in this slide, what I'm telling investors is the TAM is really big and it's growing. I'm saying it's 25 billion growing to 29 billion. I'm saying, so on the left, you can see that the existing TAM is 25 billion. So that's 2021 number. The projected TAM is 29 billion in 2025. And as a company, as a founder, I'm gonna have to prove that, because a good investor is gonna go check me out on that one. And that one's that's easy to Google, right? And go figure that out, see if it seems realistic as an investor. So again, for me, the SOM for Lemonator is I've identified 2 market segments, right? So put that all in one slide. In our example, I'm going to show you the customer segment slide. So I've actually blended those 2 into the same thing because it's part of the same conversation. So we're going to come back and talk about customer segments. But here I've got them listed as 70% of my target market is margarita lovers, and 30% of my target market is organic baby food mamas, right? So I've got two particular kinds of customers that I'm interested in. And if I'm any good at what I'm doing, I've got a really specific path to that. So maybe my path to my margarita segment is I've identified some influencers who are margarita aficionados. And I figured out how I'm going to sponsor margarita making contests all over. And I've got the coolest bartenders who are, willing to promote the product. So maybe I've got a path there, right? And maybe if my margarita lover path is successful, then my organic baby food mama market will grow. That's really supposed to be a terrible joke. Nobody gets it. All right, so the organic baby food mama group, that could be something totally different. Like, so maybe I've got a different segmentation path to that, but and investors going to want to know how you're walking into these numbers. And if you say that your SOM is a $200 million market, it's not okay to say, you want to get 1% of the market or 5% of the market. It's much better to say, I've got this segmentation strategy that's going to help me get there. And I have a path. I've got a path to that customer. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about that?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what you just said, so that the $200 million market, that's obtainable? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that that's what I could get if I could get all of what's really in the space where I'm at. But I'm probably gonna in my business model, I'm gonna say, we think that we can get a percentage of that market, and here's how. I'm not gonna say, if I just get 1% of the market, then then what am I? That's still a huge company. That's not what I'm gonna say, because investors will go like, psh, they don't know what they're doing. Right? They don't have a path. So you really got to backfill it with what's your path to the customer. So we see all the time healthcare things, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, those kinds of things. Well, we're going to sell these to doctors. Really? How are you going to get to a doctor? Because that's about impossible. Oh, I used to be a sales rep. I've got this list. I play at the same golf course. Oh, you got a path to the customer, or we've been endorsed by an industry association that just serves those people and they're willing to help us get in the door. Like, that's a great strategy. But you've really got to be able to demonstrate you got a pathway that gets you to sales. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Okay. Again, we talked a bit about the market segmentation. So figuring out your customers, we're going to spend more quality time on this in the next few weeks before we get to the deadline. So I'm going to go on from that, because we are going to do a much deeper dive on customer discovery. And then slide 4, your value proposition. How are you different, better than everybody else? What are the channels? How are you going to get to the customers and reach them? We talked about that a little bit. And I'm gonna talk more about value proposition on the competition slide, because I think that's where it really fits in. And then we want to move to the business model, right? So every investor wants to know how you're going to make money. And if you've got a single product with a single revenue stream, how does that change over time? And how do you or if you've got 50 revenue opportunities, have you prioritized them, and how are you going to strategically attack them in a way that makes sense? So this is also for anybody who's thinking software. This is, you know, what becomes your user base versus your actual customer. Like, who's going to pay you for this? And so maybe your actual customer is advertising in your app, and you're running a freemium model. Like, there's a lot of different ways to do this one, but really thinking through what the revenue streams are. Or one that I would never have thought I would say when I started doing this work is you're never going to make money. You're going to be acquired by somebody who wants your data, right? So that's another way that we see business models and revenue streams work. All right, I'm going to go ahead and competition is probably, to me, it might be the most important slide in the deck, because a really good competition slide is going to tell an investor that you really understand the market, that you know what your competitors are doing, and what your potential exit strategy is. So I'm gonna say a little bit more about that here. So again, we're back with the Lemonator. This is a really basic competition slide. We typically see competition slides one of two ways. We either see it like this in a chart, or we see it like a scatter plot diagram. If you're doing a scatter plot diagram, you're really defining yourself on two parameters. And this is another one that I see people mess up. There's only three things you can be competitive on. There's speed and quality and price, right? So for all of you who are thinking, I'm going to provide great customer service is a given. It's mandatory. You just have to do that. It's almost like a product, right? Like you can't start a company without a product. Customer service is a given. You can't differentiate on that. So again, speed, quality, and price. If you can't do it faster or better or cheaper than your competition, you are not going to be competitive. If you can do all three, you could be disruptive, right? So computer versus vacuum tube, Netflix versus Blockbuster. You know, there are lots of examples of that. Horse and carriage versus a car. Those are disruptors, and they're hard. It's hard to do something disruptive, and it is entirely worthwhile. Those are where the unicorns really come from. So, so a good slide like this, is there anything here that stands out to anybody? Does anything there look familiar? So does anybody have one of these in their kitchen, a Ninja? Yeah, right? Okay, thank you, Jaden. Jaden, I have a backpack for you, and Christian for asking a question. If you guys want to come by the office, I will give you a free backpack. Because, you know, engagement is really important. So if you have like one of the things investors will look for is among your competition, is there somebody who is familiar, right? Is there a brand name there? So Ninja's a brand name. There's a ton of them out there. And if you look at this, if the Lemonator does what I think it does, you know, what I'm suggesting to investors that it does, then my natural exit is going to be to Blend Tech or to Ninja, because they already have market share, and I can beat them on quality or price or speed. So, and I've oversimplified here because I put them in there that way. I've also said I have a self-washing blender, which I would actually start a company if I really had that, because I think everybody would like to have that, and I would have lots of things I would want to apply my self-washing technology to. But this is the important part here, is that there's a demonstration that you know what's happening around you. You've identified things that customers really want, and there's a potential exit opportunity. So Ninja might buy you to have to not compete with you. And that's a great strategy. So if on the other hand, the way we see the scatter plot diagram, if there are lots and lots of competitors in a space and winners haven't emerged yet, big companies haven't emerged out of that group yet, then the pathway forward might look different. It could be that you're not looking to raise, 1 to 10 million. It could be that you're looking to raise a couple $100 million and then acquire your competitors. So that's the one of the other pathways. All right, any questions about the competition slide? Nobody else wants a backpack? All right. Slide number 7. So your competitive advantage or your intellectual property. This is another one of those really critical things. You've got to be able to demonstrate to investors that your stuff is not easy to replicate, or that you've built something that we call it a lot of times the moat. You've built something that makes it hard for people to do, or easy for you to hold them accountable, right? So patents, trademarks, copyrights, all of those things are enforceable by law in the United States, and a good way for you to show some protection around what you're doing. And those things can be used basically one of two ways. So I say you can use it like the moat around your castle, right? To keep everybody out of your stuff, because you want to keep building what you've developed, and you don't want people to infringe on it. So that's you take a litigation strategy. People come in and infringe on what your legal rights are, and then you're going to hold them accountable for that. Or you can use your intellectual property as a water park, right? At a water park, you want to throw the doors open and invite everybody to come in and play with you. So in an IP framework, that means what you're doing is you're going down a licensing strategy, and you're looking for people who want to license your technology and commercialize it themselves. So lots of good examples of that as well. All right, if you've got a business that's up and going, you want to be able to say what your traction is. Even if you don't have a product yet, you can say like, hey, we got our team together, we got this idea, we've worked up a prototype, we know that we're going to try these 3 or 4 things next, like those things all are measures of traction. If you're further along and you've actually got something that you've sold some products and you can say you've got sales, that's a really good indicator to investors that there's something there that people want to buy. So that's that. And then the team slide. So a lot of times we'll see people mess this one up, and they'll put their team on there. So maybe it's a team of people that are more working on it. Maybe they've got some advisors, but they put everybody's academic credentials. Investors care far less about that than you might think. They would be way more excited to know that you've successfully run businesses, helped somebody else grow a business, have some relevant experience that's going to add value to the company. And then in addition, if you've got some credentials, like I think Kylie said she's a EE, those are helpful, but they would be secondary to how you can demonstrate experience and show that your team has the ability to develop the strategy and execute on that strategy in a way that makes all of you successful in the long run. All right, then last 2 slides. So exit strategy. So again, this sort of goes back to competition. Who will acquire you? Who could you do a merger with? How are you going to exit the company in the next 5 to 7 years? Or if you're doing biotech, it's maybe a little longer than that, maybe as much as 15. So exit strategy is important. If you know who your competitors are or who's growing in the market, those are really good indicators of where you might have exit opportunities as well. And then finally, the offering and the ask. So I actually put together a slide for the eliminator for this one. This is typically what we see. So again, I'm going to give you the link to go watch a short video on terms. It's really good and it's super entertaining. But we typically see about 3 different kinds of ways that a deal gets done. It gets done on a SAFE, which means simple agreement for future equity, which means it's a very, very short contract with not a lot in it, and basically a placeholder for investors to get back, to come back and invest at a later time. We see a convertible note, which is the most popular thing that we see for early seed stage companies. And in a convertible note, there are, in addition to the things you'd see in a SAFE, there are some other things in that instrument that give investors some tools, what we call the clawbacks, so that we can actively hold the company accountable over time. So maybe it's information rights or a board seat, it's regular reports, it's a payout of the it's a payback strategy if you don't raise another round of funding within a certain period of time. It can be a whole bunch of those things. And then the third one would be a straight equity play. So you're issuing stock in the company and they're purchasing and then taking ownership of a portion of the company. So if we wanted to talk about that, that's probably a workshop I'd need to add, but we could. So on this one, what we put here is a way for investors to quickly and easily see what the deal would look like, and they can calculate if it's a good risk for them. So looking for $400,000 on a convertible note, you're valuing the company at $3 million. And right here, I've got a 20% discount is the other thing that I don't have here is usually a percentage. So the typicals are 15 to 20% on a discount, 8 to 10 on percent interest. And so what that would mean is the valuation, we're going to value the company at 3 million. You're going to raise another round of funding a couple of years down the road. So maybe 2 or 3 years down the road. And at that time, our agreement is going to convert to stock. So we'll put a valuation cap in there so that it can't get too high. And then the discount means that we're basically purchasing that stock at a discount. So in simple terms, it's like a coupon, right? So let's say your stock shares go for $100 a share. When you do the conversion, we're gonna get to purchase ours at 80%, and then we get some of that upside as you go into the next round. Usually we also see what the current situation is. So this company's raised $1 million. They had sales of $1 million last year. They intend to do a Series A in less than 3. So we think the conversion would be no more than 36 months out. We also have the use of funds here. So typically you can see this huge green area that indicates sales and marketing. It's our expectation that 2/3 to 3/4 of an ask is really in sales and marketing, because if we are investing money in a company, we're investing in it so that it can scale and that we can get a return. And there's not really anything else that happens in a company that can do that once you've got the product developed. So maybe there's some inventory and some product development, but we really want to see the majority of the investment go towards the sales and marketing of the business to help the business grow. Okay, any questions on that?
Misty, will you be going over that in more detail as we get later on in the process? Because if I didn't have a business idea right now, it would be really overwhelming to think about what type of ask I would want to make.
Right. Yes, we'll spend a lot of time on that. And we will work to make sure every team's got a mentor and a coach. So we may end up being able to do both, but we'll have some more. We'll spend some more time on this one. This is a tough one to figure out and get right. And actually, when we start to build decks, I actually like to start here. So we talked earlier about risk mitigation. If you went back to that list of from CB Insights and you said, what are, like, around my business idea, what are all the ways that it could possibly fail? And can I put a dollar figure on those? Right. So if you can identify, maybe it's $1 million of things that could happen in the next year that could crater your business, we're going to start and say you're going to need to raise $1 million to solve all of those problems. Right. So maybe it's regulatory risk or it's legal protections or it's whatever those things are. But yes, we'll spend some more time on that. Other questions? Okay. That's kind of what I've got for you. I did put this resource page together. This one right here, this video explaining terms. I decided that I haven't worked on the student side. This is the first time I'm presenting to students, like maybe in a decade. I decided I didn't dumb it down for you. And if it pushed you too far, come back and let's talk about it. Because I can help you get there. I decided I was just going to push it a little bit and hope that everybody would stretch with me. When I send this out, anybody who registered for today will get the video. This one, video explaining terms. This is a guy at Slide Beam. His name is Kaya. and we've had him come here to talk. He's actually in New York, but he does 2 videos a week. And this one in particular, he uses the characters from Breaking Bad to walk through how the stuff works. And it's not only is it accurate and really hits the high points, but it's also quite entertaining. It's about 15 minutes. So I'd really highly recommend that one. And then everything else that we've talked about is in these links. So the V2 website, workshop registration. So the same registration you used for this week will work for all the workshops. To register for the finale on 4/20, would love for you to invite your family to come. So it'd be a cool thing. We're going to be back on campus, and if that's possible. And it's the same day as the advisory board. I think the president of the university is coming. Like it should be a really, really great event. So we're really looking forward to that, and would love to have you bring your people to come and share as we celebrate that night. And then there'll be today's slides, those deck checklists, the templates. And then I also threw in, because we work directly with companies raising money, over time, I've gotten permission to share some of the videos. So I've got 1, 3, and 10-minute pitches. So if you want to see how some real companies put some stuff together, I put those examples in there for you as well. I have this marked down for that we should finish by 1:45. So we've got about 15 minutes for questions or to start working on anything that you'd like.
I have a quick question here.
Yeah.
If you can hear me, this is actually George Lanning, not Diego Lozano. He sent me a link.
Hey, George.
Hey, how are you doing? What are the in-person dates for this, aside from the finale on 4/20?
Yeah, I think I can go back and do that. I can go back and show you on the slides.
Is there a remote option for any of those that are in person?
Actually, I don't think we're doing any. I don't think we have any of them planned in person right now. I'm happy to do that. Happy to do some in-person things, but part of this was there's some simplicity in being able to do this way. You
No, it's
also
better.
get credit if you watch the videos. So
For me, it's better, so that's great. Definitely not complaining.
Are we gonna get an invitation for the next workshop, like an email or something?
I think that you will. So we're scrambling a little bit to figure some of this stuff out. So yes, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. There will be another email that'll come out to you and maybe a direct calendar invite too. So I may put everybody on a group list that way. I did just put in the chat the slides from today that have all those links and things, so I can see you all jumping on there. And then I was going to share my screen again. So back to George's question, those dates, so I didn't put back in presentation mode, but those dates are here. So we've got them, not as many workshops as last year. I think they did quite a few more. We're gonna, we just had to shorten it for this year, but we're gonna try and bring the best stuff that we can to you. And these may change a little bit. I'm working with some of the speakers that I use a lot to come in and talk to you. Other questions about anything? All right. When you registered, you had to sign up if you wanted Passport, Compass, or Connect points. And then also I'll turn the list over, the attendance list over to Diana, so she can see actually how much people were engaged to get you your Grubhub credits as well. So. All right, I'm happy to stay on for a few more minutes, but that's all I've got for you for today. And I'm super excited that you're here and that we're gonna get to work on this together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.